Hey folks, today we're looking at a Generation 1 Whirl. This is a 1985 toy, the clear canopy variant. And if you take a look underneath, it's turned really yellow. So this is that age and sun related damage that happens to plastic. And what we're going to talk about is how to remove that. So I'm going to show you the vapor method, which is a really gentle and effective approach that doesn't require you to submerge any of the parts into hydrogen peroxide. Let's take a look at his head here. One of the things you want to look for when you get these toys is his antenna. This guy has his little antenna that's often missing, and even more often it's bent like this. Taking a look at what's going on with his head, the front half is turned green, so that was the part that was peeking out from underneath. The back half is still blue, and that's the color it's supposed to be. But as the front half yellowed, yellow and blue make green. So let's get this guy taken apart. Now, the reason we need to disassemble the legs here is rust. The more aggressive approach to whitening is to submerge the parts in peroxide. That is pretty harsh. It'll strip chrome, it will destroy stickers, and it will rust exposed metal. And in this case, we're not going to do that. It's a much more gentle technique, but that shiny chrome is just, really out there and it strikes me as high risk. So good opportunity to open him up and take a look at how he's assembled in that thigh area. You can see it all fits together really nicely. Let's get the lower leg apart as well. Make note of the size of the screws. There are two small screws and then one large screw in the ankle. You don't want to mix those up. Once he's opened up, we'll see something that I think is kind of interesting that helped the folks in the factory who put this together. Take a close look at the thigh here, and you'll see that it is stamped with the letter L. So this is the left one, obviously. Also, here is the Bandai stamp. So this was a Takatoku design, and then Bandai owns the license for it. I like that this is a very different toy. It looks different than the other Diaclone, Takara products of the era, and a lot more like Jetfire. Even the stickers are similar in style, except for that Autobot symbol, but all those little tiny clear stickers, they're actually pretty thick and sturdy. They remind you a lot more of Jetfire. On the other foot here, we've got another clue that this is not your normal Transformer, a stamp saying Ashi Productions. And I wondered what that was. I looked it up, and it turns out that's an anime studio of the time. And they were working on a show called Special Armored Battalion Dorvac. And that was actually the cartoon that Whirl was a cast member of before he ever became a Transformer. And here we've got the R symbol on the other leg, so you can keep them straight. For the whitening, we're using 3% hydrogen peroxide just from the grocery store, and it's easy to get. You can see I've got the toy elevated on two takeout container lids inside of a bigger clear Tupperware. You pour a shallow pool of peroxide. That should be just about enough. We don't want to actually touch the toy at all. Now we set it out in the sun, covered. In this case, it took about 3 days. Sometimes it's faster. I brought it in at night, and now he's out of the bath. And you can see that a lot of that yellow discoloration is gone. It's not 100% because this is a pretty gentle application, but it's a lot cleaner. So let's get this guy reassembled, and then I'll show you a clear before and after side by side. Get those screws back in. You can see those very Robotech style stickers as well. Always enjoy hearing the sounds of those screws and screwdriver clicking and clacking. This is a good opportunity to see some of the engineering here of the lower leg. It explains why you cannot collapse the leg unless the ski is folded in. See, that metal part has to fit right in that space, so don't force it. Now we'll get the lower leg reassembled. Hopefully you paid attention to which screw was which. That's the long one. And we'll just snug it up. If you have loose joints, we'll talk about it another time, but there are ways to tighten up loose joints. There are also ways to loosen up tight joints. All right, I think we're pretty close here. And that's seated. And we're done. You can see there's been a dramatic improvement before and after. It's not 100%, but it's really good. I like a little bit of patina on these toys. You know, sometimes the project calls for a perfect restoration, but these I kind of like that played with look. Let's open them up and take a look at the face. You can see this is a big improvement too. The front half used to be green, now it's back to the normal blue, and his antenna is still there. So that's Whirl, whitened using the vapor method. It's a simple and effective way to get these old toys displayable again. I hope it was useful for you, and we'll see you next time.